Welcome back to our channel, the Warriors. We are still growing today. Another special guest, a banger. We have a dude named Escobar. What up, man?
What's up?
He
How's it going?
apparently did time in Donovan when I was the lieutenant there. Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Where are you from in the streets, dude? Where'd you grow up?
From Los Angeles?
LA? What
Yeah.
part?
Basically all over. I grew up all over LA. We moved around a lot. The earliest memories, Pico Union,
Damn.
and then rolling around San Fernando Valley too, around the time that I got arrested.
What year did you get arrested?
2012.
Damn, dude. Were you part of a gang?
Yeah.
What gang was that? Or you rather not say?
Yeah, I'd rather not give them
That's cool. That's cool. You ain't got to say it. Was it gang activity when you got arrested?
Yeah.
There was
Well,
enhancements?
yeah. That's what yeah, that's what I brought.
I can't see it. There you go. There you go. All right. Lower it. 20. Okay.
I got that's my original.
What was your term?
23 years, 4 months, and then I was part of a case where they basically passed the law and said basically we're looking for all the gang members that were gang members, but they didn't commit their crime for a gang, and they call it lone actors. Basically, I committed the crime by myself. I didn't have any homies. It was just me by myself. I didn't say no gang slurs, no gang colors, and I wasn't in gang territory, and they ended up changing my sentence to 6 years, 8 months after I already had served over a decade.
Let's take it back to the beginning. What were you charged with?
Assault with a firearm.
Assault with a firearm?
Yeah. Carrying a loaded firearm by a gang member. Discharge of a firearm.
So allegedly you had a gun, allegedly you shot it.
Yeah.
Did anybody get injured?
Yeah, 4 people.
Fuck, dude. Right off the top, did anybody die?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And after how long of the alleged crime did you get arrested?
It was about a month. I was on the run for a month.
You know who else was on the run? My boy Cesar Hernandez, man. You been seeing my boy Cesar Hernandez?
Yeah.
This fool escaped the level 4 GP, man. Motherfuckers don't care.
That was out here somewhere.
Somewhere, bro. So 4 people injured. What was your initial term that they sentenced you to?
23 years, 4 months.
Okay. They didn't give you a life sentence?
No, when I went to trial, so I went to trial because I had it was a bunch of cases that they try to consolidate. So the original, what I was going to trial for was 175 years to life.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah. So you were facing 175 to life.
Yep.
God damn, dude.
And the only deals, I got 6 deals. They offered me, every single one of them was a life sentence. So I didn't really feel like those were deals.
Why so much time? 175 to life. What the hell were they adding?
They originally, the assault with the firearms were attempted murders. And
so how many counts? 4 counts?
Yeah, 4 counts. And then it was the discharge of a firearm, and it was the fucking great bodily injury, leading to death. That was like 25 to life. And then I had a preventing or persuading a witness to report a crime. I had an assault on somebody with a machete. That was a separate case.
Did they try to add that case onto that case?
Yeah, they basically, when I went to trial, I had the shooting, and then I had another case with allegedly some Crips.
Did you hire a lawyer?
No, I couldn't afford one.
God damn, dude, whoever your lawyer was kind of fucking hooked you up if we think about it.
Crazy story, though. After I got out of prison, I looked him up to thank him. He actually tried to kill his family with an axe, so he's currently in CDCR right now, too.
No way, dude.
But,
You gonna put money on that dude's books or what?
but
He looked out for you, man.
yeah, but yeah,
So, how old were you at the time?
I was 19 years old.
Oh, you're a youngster, dude. Did you understand the severity of your consequences?
In a way, yeah, but because of my programming,
Right,
I really didn't feel like I did anything wrong.
right.
I felt like what I did was normal. In my head, the way I looked at it is because it wasn't a gang crime. I just shot at a bunch of people at a party. And the way I looked at it is the only thing that was illegal was the firearm I was carrying. So I just told myself, like, man, like, I don't understand what the big thing is. They're blowing it out of proportion. Like it's a big thing, but I just really couldn't really say much because in court, like, they don't really let you talk.
Now, that was your mindset back then. I'm sure you've grown and you don't have that same mindset, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Eh,
it was absolutely. I absolutely deserve to go to prison.
Okay, cool, cool. We'll get to that too. Um, Fuck, bro. So, LA County Jail?
No, Shasta,
Where's
up
that
north,
at? Up
way up
north?
north. Yeah, I
Is
was
that
up there
with
doing.
your county of commitment?
Yeah, I was up there doing shit with marijuana.
Oh, fuck,
Yeah, this is
dude.
when it was illegal.
Yeah. All right. This story is just getting juicier. Isn't that Shasta where the people disappear?
Yeah, they got so much shit in there. I seen dudes come in that shot their brothers and cut off their hands to try to get away with it, like thinking that was gonna work. Like it's crazy up there.
I bet, dude. They offer you 6 deals. How does that work? Your lawyer, your public defender tells you, hey, man, this is what they're offering. Yay or nay? Does he make a recommendation?
Basically, so what he would do is he was trash. He'll just go in there and just he'll come back out and he'll just be like, "Look, man, I got you a good deal." And I'll be like, all right, what's the deal, man? What's the deal? Because I would like that's one thing I don't ever want people to think. Like I never shied away from like, man, I messed up.
Right.
Like even though my mind was on like I don't see what I did wrong, I still understood. You know what? I fucked up and I got to do the time. And that's one thing that like I would tell him like, man, all right, well I know I'm gonna do time because I messed up, man. And he would just pop out with like, all right, the deal is 32 to life, man. He's like, in 32 years, you go to board and you'll be out. I'm like, nah, dude, that's not a deal. That's
And
not
was he
a deal.
receptive to that? Was he like, no, no, it is a deal? Or was
Nah,
he like, yeah, you're right?
nah. He'll just be like, all right, man. Well, we'll see what happens next court. I'll try to offer him some next court, and the next court it'll be any sort of numbers. I think the lowest I got was like 25 to life.
God damn, dude. I'm not familiar with that process. Eventually, do they get tired of offering you deals?
Nah. So
Or
what
you got to
happened was,
take it to court, right?
yeah. So what happened was they eventually were like, you know what? He's not going to take a deal, so we're just going to have to go to trial. Because in
Mm-hmm.
my head, I was just like, look, like I'm absolutely guilty, but I don't feel that it's guilty of life. So I just told myself, like, if they're only gonna offer me life, I'm gonna have to go to trial, and I'm just gonna have to basically put it in the hands of my peers and
And
hope
that's
for the
what
best.
happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Were you able to speak then, like you said?
No, because my attorney was telling me, like, look, dude, I don't feel that it's right for you to speak because of the way you talk. I didn't talk like I talk now. I didn't have an education.
Yeah.
Back then, I talked basically like a standard issue cholo, like, what's up, fool? Hey,
Yeah,
fool.
yeah.
And he just told me like I don't think that you should talk. And then also the fact that they can ask me questions while I'm up there. During that time, because I was active, I was doing removals like every other week. So he's like,
At
I
the
don't want you.
jail?
Yeah, in the jail.
Damn.
So up there, they don't have very many sureños. So
Right.
there'd be like 3 of us in the block at one time,
Yeah.
and then they'd bring somebody in with bad paperwork, and because they were Hispanic and the rest of the block was white or native, it would be I would have to do something because in my head I was like, man, no matter what, I'm going to a 4 yard or something. That was back when they didn't throw you.
What kind of charges, what kind of bad charges were Dewey showing up right there?
Uh, Man, there was a dude who tried to tell us that he wasn't he didn't know why they arrested him. That he kicked out a cop car window And then he didn't want to give us his paperwork, so we basically got his number off his bracelet and then used the jail phones to call his lawyer and ask for his paperwork. So when it got there, we got it. And turns out he was like touching little girls. And then
And that
man, it was
problem was instantly handled.
yeah, yeah. We did it on we did it on camera.
Yeah. So did those removals affect you while you're going to trial? Did they come up at all?
Yeah,
They did?
yeah. They brought him up basically because you know how they can have a character witness to talk about your character.
Oh, I'm not too familiar, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
tracking.
So they were trying to see if my family could come and do it because it was a 14-hour drive. Most of my family couldn't make it all the way from LA.
Okay.
And then they basically had cops come out and testify. Luckily, the cops, like, I feel like they kind of looked out. Like, there was one dude that was a rapist. He came in and he was Hispanic. He said that he was a paisa, but there was no other paisas in there. Then he tried to say he was a Southsider. So I just told him, like, look, we'll just work out until your paperwork gets here. We didn't even wait for his paperwork because while we're watching TV that night, it comes up that he was running around Shasta County raping women.
Would it have his picture?
Yeah, it was on the news, and everybody in the block just turned around and looked at him like, damn, dude. Yeah, so like, I ended up removing him. At the time, I was the only Southsider in that block, so I ended up removing him. It broke his jaw, broke his eye socket, and then I dragged him around the day room and smashed his face into the door and made him call for help.
What were they, dorms or cells?
They were cells.
They were cells, but you guys had like a little day room area?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, you were doing the fucking Lord's work back then, man.
It didn't feel like it going to trial, man.
How long was your trial?
It was 6 weeks.
That's pretty fast, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, halfway through is when they started dropping charges. The judge one day just said he told the DA, I felt like these charges were filed in bad faith. And the attempted murders got dropped down. A bunch of stuff started getting off. And then eventually I just started going to they were basically doing both cases at once. My other case ended up being dismissed altogether. They were trying to say that I ran up on this kid with a machete that was saying he was a Crip gang member. And that a bunch of other Crip gang members and me were going back and forth. And later on, when the kid got on the stand, because I still didn't recognize the kid, he ended up getting on the stand and saying, no, these other Southsiders were messing with me. And that one from LA came up to me and told me, hey, if these dudes mess with you, you're welcome to knock on my door and I'll tell them to leave you alone. You're a kid.
Yeah.
And so I ended up beating that whole case altogether because he ended up getting on the stand and saying, hey, nah, that was the one that actually helped me and told them to leave me alone and all this stuff. So that ended up, like, the truth coming out ended up helping me.
Were you able to observe the jury, like see him sitting in the box?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
No, I had a cop on my jury.
You had a cop on your jury?
Yeah.
That's weird, bro. Usually they fucking remove them right off the top.
Yeah, they basically told me that there's not very many people left because it was a small town.
Shasta County, yeah, bro. Bunch of hillbillies and shit.
Yeah, and they don't really have gangs, so like stuff that we normally do in LA that's not really an issue. They just give you 6 years or whatever and just kick you off to prison. It was a big deal.
So you said what, 23 years? That's what they gave you.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking good compared to 100 and something forever. And then 35 to life, 25 to life. So were you happy?
Hell yeah.
And what did you think in your head? Oh, I could do 23 years.
Yeah, I just felt like it, given the circumstances, I felt like it was a good deal. And then at the end of the day, I always knew in the back of my head, you know what, I'm going to do sometime because
right.
Like that's the consequence of playing with guns and doing this shit.
Was that your first prison term?
Yeah.
And where'd you go to reception at?
DVI, Tracy.
Oh, yeah. Bro, how come you were spending all that time up north?
That's just where they sent me. They said
Yeah.
that one was, at the time, High Desert wasn't open for intake. It was just DVI.
That was in what year? 2012, 2013?
No, I sat there in county for 3 years. So
God.
from 2012 all the way to 2015.
How was sitting in county for 3 years?
That shit sucked.
I'm saying that because that was a time when the AB 109 and all kinds of shit. We
Yeah.
flooded the jails. Did
Yeah.
you see that?
Yeah. You watch people coming in and out, in and out, in and out all day.
Was it max capacity in there? Was there a lot of
Yeah.
dudes?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Dude, 3 years in jail has to fucking suck, bro.
Yeah. $1.25 a soup.
Now, compare jail to prison. Is it less programming?
When I first got to prison, yeah, because I didn't really know what to expect. Like I'm not gonna sit here and lie to people. Like I was scared to death.
Were you?
I was I was like, man, dude, where are they sending me? And I was sitting at DVI for a little bit. Once I got to DVI, I was like, man, everybody. I went to G Wing in DVI, GP, and I was like, man, where are they sending me? Like people don't ever understand too, like how real it gets when you're sitting there looking across the yard, looking at your enemies, and that shit made it real. And it really put into perspective everything. Like, man, this shit's real. Like I'm really doing 20 some years.
Damn.
And I sat there for like a couple weeks, and one morning I just get woken up. Normally they do like the transpacking the night before, and they pass out bags, and they'll have your name and CDC number on it. And
Yeah.
they passed out the bags for the night. I didn't get one. The next morning I get a knock on the door. They're like, roll it up. I was like, well, what's going on? Where am I going? They're like, oh, you're going to Calipatria.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. I was like, where's that? I started asking like Sally's like, hey, where's that at? He's like, oh, good luck, fool. he's like, good luck, dude.
Yeah, man. And you fuck. So let's take it back a little bit. You said you were a little scared. Were you observing other inmates and sizing them up? Like, oh, fuck, look at that dude. Or that dude looks like he could handle his shit.
Yeah,
You were very
yeah,
observant?
yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I want to point out too, like, so my mind was already changing at this time too. That's one thing that I left out. So around the time that I was in county jail, they ended up coming out with that peace treaty with the South, and the North. So I would go,
2014. Yeah.
yeah. So I would go to court, and when I would go to court, there'll be a Northerner in another cell, and I would talk to this fool through the door. I wouldn't sit here and disrespect him. He wouldn't disrespect me. He was from San Jose, and we would just talk. At the end of the day, he was on the same shit I was. I'm not gonna sit here and disrespect you, dog. If the door opens, we already know what's gonna happen. But other
Yeah.
than that, nothing's gonna happen. But then the peace treaty happened, and they started putting us in the cell together, and we just started chopping it up. We originally were chopping it up through the doors. Now we were chopping it up in the same cell. He ended up beating his case and getting out.
Wow.
Yeah. So while I'm going to trial, my family couldn't make it because of the drive and just going back and forth in the hotel. And then the cops at the time were messing with my family as well in that county. And I remember one day I'm sitting in court and the judge is like, hey, who are you here for? And I look around and I hear somebody say, oh, I'm here for the defendant. I just want him to know that he's not alone. And I turn around and it was that Northerner.
That's what's up, dude.
Yeah, and that really started putting in my head, like, man, and this dude, like, I'm from LA, to where we don't have Northerners down there, but I started thinking, like, man, this is supposed to be my enemy. This is the dude who showed up.
I could see how that can make a shift in your mindset, dude.
Yeah, it was definitely life changing.
And I say that because I don't know how much you're familiar with my story, but I stepped away from the department because I observed the corruption at the top levels. And I had that
Yeah,
same epiphany. Hey, man, we're supposed to be the fucking good guys, dude. The fuck?
yeah,
And they were the worst ones. So once your mind starts changing because you're observing reality, it's like, hey, man, it doesn't matter where this dude is from. He showed me love.
yeah,
I'm sure that didn't help you because in prison, you have to be violent.
yeah,
You have to be
yeah,
angry,
yeah. You
right?
have to hate it.
You
Yeah,
have to you
absolutely.
have to have hate, unfortunately, to survive.
Yeah,
So did you end up going to Calipat?
yep. B yard. Went to B yard.
Hey, dude, was it summertime or was it winter?
It was fucking hot, dude. Hot. And you be in there in your blues, sweating at chow time.
I know. Mandatory rutina right there on the basketball court, man. Hey, so yeah, B yard. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure it was busy as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking? Like, wow, this is wild.
Yeah. Well, the first day I ended up getting to a cell, and I introduced myself to my cellie, and then he asked for my paperwork. I gave him my paperwork, and it's good. And then the next day, he's just like, "Look, fool, I'm gonna. This is what we're gonna do. Here's the fucking reg laws and everything. So just read them." And I was just like, "All right." And he's just like, "Look, just don't cause attention. Like as far as our in cell bullshit, like don't cause attention to the house, stuff like that." And I was like, "All right, cool." And we don't even get out the cell, and somebody ends up getting whacked in front of the cell. And then
Yeah,
because they have the perforated holes,
right.
they try to mace them, and it goes right through the holes into our cell.
Damn.
Yeah, so I was like, "What the hell, dog?" He's like, "Yeah, that should be happening, dog. You just gotta get used to it."
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when that big incident happened on C Yard, I
On
think.
It
C
was
Yard?
around that time. Yeah, it was around that time.
Were you at Calipat then?
Yeah.
Okay. So, damn. Yeah, I know a lot about Calipat because I got know people that work there and shit. So I was pretty privy to what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Now, were you? I don't want. I was about to ask you. Did you get? Were you playing the politics or were you staying in your own lane?
Nah, I just stayed in my own lane. Because at the end of the day, like, I would do stuff for my hood, but it, I didn't have, I don't know any other way to say it. I didn't have drug habits.
You didn't?
I grew up in a really bad household, um, to where like hitting people was normal. I had a stepdad just beat the crap out of me every day that was a gang member. So to me, like, I felt good because of my homies. Every time I get in a fight, every time I hurt somebody, my homies would give me that positive reinforcement that I felt I needed. So my addiction was basically violence towards other people.
Right.
So when I got to prison, like there was times where I wanted to do stuff, but it would just be extra, especially on that yard. You already know, like there's no hands policy.
Right.
Um, so we weren't exactly like I would just be like, man, like I would tell my cellie, like, man, dude, like, do you guys ever just beat fools up? He's like, nah, for most of the time we just smile in people's faces and try to kill them.
Right.
I was be like, oh shit. And then I realized like shit is real too when I go to yard and I walk around like people from like South LA and stuff. I'll be like, what's up with you fools? And they'll flat out, this is the energy on the yard. They'll flat out be like, man, the Gabas, the white boys, they just killed this dude like this. We gotta kill somebody. Next person that comes in, we're gonna kill him worse than those fools did. It was like a one up thing.
That's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. It was definitely like I would just be like with my hands in my pockets, like, all right, I'm just gonna back out of this real slow. Like,
Really?
yeah, because I
Because
wasn't
some dude will dive head into that shit, but I
yeah,
think you were already realizing.
yeah, I was already realizing too, like, man, like they have that saying. So when I dropped out, I heard a lot of sayings about you know what you signed up for. And I don't really believe that because when I got jumped into a gang, I was 11 years old. And there's studies that show that you're not fully developed brain wise until you're 26.
Facts.
And if somebody would have told me years ago when I was 11 years old, hey, when you get to prison, you're going to have to put a knife up your ass and stab dudes on yard in front of people, I probably wouldn't have joined the gang.
That makes sense.
And just the way everything was, like in my head, I used to love reading books growing up, but I used to love reading about Mickey Cohen, Al Capone, real gangsters. And I always felt like a gangster didn't really follow orders.
Right.
They did what they wanted when they wanted. Nobody could take what they had from them because that's just not happening. And when I got to prison, it was really like a culture shock just seeing the way everything was run. They started releasing people from the back around that time. And I just started seeing how like messed up the politics were. So I kind of
Yeah,
just tried to.
dude. I could see it. I could see how everything played out, man. Timing, incidents, that time frame, politics. Were you having a hard time accepting authority from the COs and the rules from your own people?
No, I didn't really talk to COs because you're not allowed to talk to the cops without a shadow with you, without another individual.
Yeah.
I didn't really talk to the cops at all. I kind of just stayed away. There was one cop that was running around. Shout out to Officer Rocha. They fucking
He'll
they
watch
used to tell
this.
they used to tell me like, hey, stay away from that fool. That fool be smashing TVs and shit. Like if you disrespect him, he'll disrespect you back. Um, and then that was shortly before that time was back then when the rumors were going around about like, yeah, man, some of these COs, if you tell them like you want to head up, they'll go up in the closet with you. So it was a different time.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that Sentinel and Calipat were different. Not different, but I like the way it ran, dude. Did you feel like you guys were able to do your own thing down there?
Yeah,
Like wiggle room?
yeah. Even the so I'm sure you did. I seen a video where you talked about it. So part of our rules, we have to carry something on us at all times.
Absolutely.
Um, and sometimes we'll go to yard. The cops will be out there standing in a line on both sides of us as we're leaving the building, and they'll just be pointing at fools. Hey, you put your hands up. A lot of the times, like we'll just walk by, and they wouldn't even really search us like that. And like later on, after I dropped out, I'd asked the cop one time, like, "Hey, dude, like, how come you didn't really fuck with us like that and search us?" And he's like, "Honestly, dude, I'd rather go home to my family." He's like, as fucked up as it is, I'd rather you guys stab a child molester than stab me. And
It's
that
definitely, the whole defund the police, the whole managers getting the cops in trouble for doing their job. That's where that came from, dude. It discourages the COs.
yeah,
And fuck it. It is what it is, It's just
yeah,
it's off the charts right now.
yeah,
So then you said you eventually crossed over to the other side.
yeah. So I ended up getting called back to court for those persuading a witness charges. They were dropping them. I ended up going back to court, and while I was at court, I literally didn't even make it into the county jail yet. I was in the holding cell, and I told the cop like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna drop out," and he just like laughed, like, "Oh, okay, dude." And he came back, yeah, because he came back. Because remember, I was like the only one. Every now and then we'll have Southsiders, but most of the time, that 3 years, I was literally the only Southsider there doing all the removals. So every other week, I'm going to the hole.
Yeah.
I'll get put on steg, and then I'll go to I'll do my little whole time. Then they'll put me on ad sig for like a month and be like, "All right, are you gonna be cool, man? Because if you're gonna be cool, we'll let you back with GP." I'll be
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, like yeah, I'll be good, man," and they'll let me back. So he kind of laughed it off, like, "All right, dude, you were in here like smacking fools around," and I told him like, "Nah, I'm serious, dude." And he's like, "What happened?" And he's like, "You're like in good standing, right?" I was like, "Yeah, dude. I told him I just had a realization being there, and I'm not a gangster, dog." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was just like, "If this is what being a gangster is, it's not for me." And I told him I'd rather figure out who I am. I told him I know it's gonna be hard, and I'm gonna have like an identity crisis for a little bit. But I told him I rather do me, dog. And he's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yes." He just brought me a piece of paper, and all it said on the paper was like a pink paper. It just said, "Are you in fear for your life?" I was like, "Hell yeah." He's like, "You're a fool, dog." I signed it, and then he put me in AdSeg for a while before he actually let me in with the GP. But I was only in GP in the county jail SNY for like 2 days, and then I got transferred back to prison.
And when you went back to prison, I'm sure you didn't go back to the same yard.
No, I went back to Calipat, but I went to the SNY yard.
Right.
I don't remember for sure. I think it was D yard at the time.
Yeah.
It was SNY. I went to
Yeah.
that one, and
How is jail ad sig compared to like a prison ad sig? What are you doing in the jail ad sig? Just fucking sitting there?
yeah, I felt like it was better because on AdSeg in prison, they'll bring you the phone and all that
Yeah.
to your shell. In jail AdSeg, they would just let me out an hour every day, so I'll be
Interesting.
able to. They had the day room. I'll go out there, sit on the phone,
Interesting.
or do the pull up bar and dips. But over there too, they had the cordless phone that you can get in your shell, so they'll come
Yeah.
by. You just gotta ask for it, so it was smooth.
Interesting. Now, was it a culture shock for you to see the other side, the SNY side?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there anything where you first got there like, oh fuck, man?
Yeah, why we? So that's the thing. So I was brainwashed to think that everybody over there was a child molester, a
Right.
rapist. Uh, we would hear stories about, oh yeah, there's a PC gang like 2 5s in Northern Riders. So we had heard stories, but when I had actually got there, because I was up north, it was all just Northern Riders, and they would come by and just be like, "What's up, man?" And I just told them like, "Oh, I just dropped out." They did try to recruit me, but I just told them like, "It's just not for me, dog." Like I just want to stand on my own 2 feet and just figure it out and do my time. And they were all right with that. They were respectful.
Who
They
tried to
would come around
recruit you? The Northern Rider or the 2-5ers?
the Northern Riders.
Interesting.
Yeah, later on the 2-5ers did, because when I went back to Calipat, there was a gang of 2-5ers there.
Now, did you recognize anybody?
Yeah, a
They were your
couple homies.
homies or no?
Yeah, homies that I kicked it with on the streets.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You guys were able to hit it off? Everything was cool?
yeah, no, because so my whole trip was, if I'm gonna drop out and I'm gonna change my life, I told myself, like, I'm not gonna do the same shit. I'm not gonna hang out with the same crowds.
Right.
So I would go to college. I got 2 college degrees, one in psychology, one in business management, and the homies that I would see that were from the hood, or that I would see on the streets, they were still fucking around with drugs and all that other shit. So like I would see them and they'll say, "Oh, what's up?" And like some of them try to tell me their stories, like, "Oh, fucking, I'm over here because, I ran up a debt with the Mexican mafia and all this shit." And
Right.
I'll just be like, "All right, dude, like that's cool, dog. Like I'll just keep pushing."
What steps were you taking to rehabilitate yourself during that time?
I would sign up for any group that I could get. Um,
What were some of the
I
groups, man? Anger management?
Anger management, criminal gang members anonymous, uh,
What did that one focus on?
being a gang member, and basically like getting out of that mindset, realizing that like a lot of us are alike, whether we're black, brown, Mexican, Asian. A lot of us are alike. We
Right.
grew up the same ways, and we were all taught the same things that aren't right. Like for example, I was taught that, like, oh, when someone hits you, you hit them back, and that's not always the case.
Correct.
Um, that's one of the places where I first started meeting people that were really about change, and I started seeing like a dude said something one time. He's like, "Hey, you know what? All this time he had got stabbings for people calling him the B word and all this stuff." And he's like, "All these times I did stabbings and done all these crazy ass things to people for words." And he's like, "When you realize that if you're a man and you're a real man, you're comfortable in your own skin, you're secure in yourself. So what is a word from another person? As long as they don't touch you,
Right.
I don't care. I don't care what you say."
Right.
And hearing that for the first time, it really put into perspective everything, because my programming from my mom, because my mom was a gang member, my dad was a gang member, so that kind of put into perspective, like, you know what, like, why am I assaulting people for the littlest little thing?
Hey, were you tattooing in there?
Yeah,
You failed to leave
yeah,
that out, man.
yeah, yeah. I didn't really tattoo that much though. I'm not gonna say I was making hella money, because it is a good job
Yeah.
considerably in there, but I probably only tattooed like for the first 2 years. And then when I started getting in, because originally I was a youth offender, so when I started getting
Oh,
into
shit.
my, yeah, when I started getting into my youth offender stuff, I didn't want to, because they would specifically come into these cells and search the youth offender cells. So I didn't want to have anything in the cell. So after the first 2 years, I was just like, man, I'm just gonna like cold turkey it and just figure it out. But I was just doing bandanas and selling them on the streets to make money.
Is that why you got action through the youth offender law?
No, I actually I made it all the way to fire camp in the end. Um, and these random attorneys wrote me out of nowhere and just said, "Hey, we're looking for cases where it's one person by themselves. They have no co-defendants, and they're charged with like considerable amount of gang enhancements. And we're gonna basically, if it's not gang related, we're gonna try to prove that it has nothing to do with the gang."
Wow.
And I told him, like, "Look, I didn't shoot these people for the gang. I shot them because, unfortunately, at the time, I was a sick individual, and I believed that if somebody disrespected me, I had to use violence to get my way. Violence was my value. I felt valued when I committed violence. So they basically fought for a whole year and eventually proved to the courts that my case was not gang related."
Who were those people? Like a volunteer group, a foundation? You said lawyers?
Yeah, they were just random lawyers that wrote me. I forgot what the name
Damn,
of the group.
bro.
It was through Sacramento, and they said, "We got one other guy that we eventually got out, and you're the second guy, but my case was basically going to solidify for the people that, because they got the first guy out, but it didn't really like make clear what's wanted and what's not wanted. But my case, they didn't. What they asked for in the gang enhancements was that I did it to promote and basically do it as a gang member. I had gang colors, all this stuff. Said gang things as I was shooting at these people or running away.
Right.
And that wasn't the case in my case. I
Right.
just got into a group of people, and unfortunately, I had a gun, and thank God nobody got killed.
What year did you get your Donovan?
I want to say 2017, 2016, around those times.
And you said you
I was
remember me from right there?
No, I don't remember you. I just remember you were like you're hearing your name around that time, and then just or other people that were there at the time because I was with a like that was one thing I was gonna bring up too. I was with a lot of celebrities the whole time in prison on the S and Y side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just remember that they had just opened up like E-Yard or some shit when they were making it 50-50.
Was there anything major that happened around that time frame right there? Or nah?
Nah, not that I remember.
Dude,
My
RJD
name,
was fucking wild, bro. Did
yeah,
it appear to be wild to you?
hell yeah, especially on. So I would just be walking a group and like shit'll happen, and there would just be like crazy ass stabbings. I remember one day I'm sitting outside and this dude is like, hey bro, you might want to get out of here. I was like, why? What's up? He's like this tranny hit on me, and I heard he's a boxer. I was like, all right, good for you, dog.
Yeah.
And he told me like, hey, I'm gonna whack him. I was like, what the hell? He's like, yeah, because he'll beat me up. I was like, all right, dog. I just got my books and
Yeah.
just got up and left. I just got up and left. I was like, oh hell no. And then I didn't think I thought it was bullshit until the alarm started going off.
Damn. Yeah, that place was definitely fucking different, dude. And then you
You'll
said
see
you
a
went. Go ahead.
you'll see a fight on Yard, a real fight, like almost like a shitload of fights every day. But then you'll hear the tower be like, "Hey, quit horse playing," and
Right.
they'll stop fighting.
Right. Yeah, that way we don't have to do the paperwork and use force and write it up. And you went back to Calipat?
Nah, so from Calipat, I went to Ironwood,
Oof.
and then Ironwood, I was there for a minute. I've hit Chino. The last prison I paroled from Corcoran, and then I went to a lot of places. I can be one of the guys that said I went to Pelican Bay as a layover, straight up.
Yeah, everybody else is saying it. Fuck it, dude.
I did a layover there once. I don't know why.
Yeah. So, how did they break the news to you that you were gonna parole?
I got a phone call. So I was at Corcoran and they just called me and they told me, hey, you got a attorney visit today. And I was just like, all right. And I basically gave them free will to try to get me whatever deal. Because at the end of the day, I told them, look, I didn't do it for a gang.
Right.
I absolutely deserve to serve time. But I just want to get out there that I didn't do it for a gang. And they just told me like, all right, well, we're going to try to get you what we can get you. And they ended up getting me 6 years, 8 months.
And that had already been time served?
Yeah, it was time served, and then because I was so over, because I was a couple years over,
Right.
they said I didn't get no parole, and then
Damn.
my restitution was wiped out completely because I
Wow,
had
dude.
like $7,000 worth of restitution.
Yeah. So then you get out and you move. How did that come
Yeah.
about, if you don't mind sharing?
So my wife, I had been talking to her 2 years before I got released from Right a Prisoner. She was from the UK, and right when
What's
I
right,
got
a
out,
prisoner? Like a pen pal?
yeah, where people just write you,
Yeah.
and I basically once I got out, my whole plans were like I told myself like I'm not gonna be able to function because at the end of the day, like I told myself, like I don't want to be around gangs. I don't care about gangs. I don't care about their politics. I don't care about none of that now. So I told
Yeah.
myself, I don't want to be around that shit at all. I already look like a gang member, especially with like Al Capone on my neck.
Hey, look at that fucking G shield.
Yeah, that's level 4 shit.
Yeah.
Um, and I just told myself, like, man, my best way to survive or not go back to prison was getting out of there. So I literally got my passport within a month, fast tracked it, and then just took off.
Did you, being a felon, have any hiccups into entering a different country?
No, because of California law,
Which is
if you
what?
have if you had been out for longer than 4 years, your record gets expunged. Because I was 6 years over.
Oh, shit. What a
Yeah,
trip, dude.
yeah, I was expecting it too. Because when you put your little passport on the thing over here, it lights up red or green.
Yeah.
And if it's red, you go off to the right. When I put my passport, me and my wife are looking at it like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And when I put my passport, it went green. I went right through, and then customs was like, "Hey, have a good one, man."
Now, was that the first time you leaving the country?
Other than Mexico,
Okay. How was it? How was that experience?
it was different. People are a lot nicer. I had a culture shock, like as far as like all the different like countries that are over here.
Yeah.
Uh, we went through Denmark as a layover, so we were in Denmark for a couple hours, and then from Denmark we went to here, and that was crazy. Um, they definitely got like everything here.
Yeah, dude, because when you had reached out to me, I was kind of confused. I'm like, is this dude from over there? Did he serve time over there? And it's like, nah, this dude's from over here, California.
Yeah,
And you do tattooing there?
yeah. I opened up my own tattoo business.
Damn, dude, you're like a fucking success story.
I told myself that's one thing too. So like every day that I was in prison, I told myself like, man, if I ever get another chance at life, because that was one thing that I thought about while I was active. That was part of my deals too. So I had signed 2 strikes, or when I had got sentenced, they gave me 2 strikes. So I told myself like, man, if I ever get a chance at life, like I'm not gonna mess it up. But when I had got the 6 years, they took all of that away. The 2 strikes, they took everything away. So I was
Wow.
basically, I was a clean slate. So I told myself like, man, I'm not gonna mess it up. Like I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to make sure that I succeed in life.
Why do you think it is that some gang members either refuse to change their ways or take some way longer?
Accountability, accountability, because I feel like in my instance, so you after you drop out, you have an identity crisis. My whole life I
Facts.
was of a whole life. My whole life I was this person. My nickname was Muerte. So my whole
Muerte?
life yeah, my whole life
God damn, dude.
I was Muerte. I was this person. Everybody
Right.
called me that. If you couldn't pronounce it, you would just say M. And my whole life I was this person. So when I had dropped out, I was like, you know what? When I would go over there, I would be like, hey, my name is so and so, and
Right.
they'll be like, oh man, like, all right. And then when I would honestly hold myself accountable, like even with people I don't like, I would go in group and I'll be like, in my head, I'll be like, man, I don't even like this fool. Like this fool always talks or whatever. I honestly would tell myself like, man, honestly, why do I not like this dude? Is it because he's smarter than me? Is it because he's doing something better than me? Why do I not like this individual? And I would do that with everything that I would do. Like, man, why do I hate this person on yard? Well, because of my programming as a gang member, and I would understand, like, and I would just tell myself, like, man, dude, like, get over it, dog.
Yeah. You want to know what a trip is? Is that when I quit drinking alcohol, I went through a fucking identity crisis, dude. I didn't know who the sober Hector was. It took me 3 years to figure the fuck out.
That's real.
It is real, dude. People that leave the military or people that leave law enforcement, they go through an identity crisis. They've been associated with something for so long, it's like they don't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah,
What advice do you have for current gang members that are
man,
in that huh?
don't be a follower.
Don't be a follower?
Yeah, respect and like realize your value. Like brainwash yourself to believe that you can do something better with yourself.
Right.
And never let a struggle go to waste. That's one thing that I told myself while I was in there. Even though I was in prison, I told myself I'm not going to let this struggle, this situation that I put myself in, go to
Yeah.
waste. That's why I got educated.
But no, that's excellent advice. But what if somebody's afraid? The fear that's holding them back from taking that positive step forward. The
Man, I would
unknown.
just honestly do it, because nobody's got to live with your regrets but you. When you're
Right.
sitting there doing a life sentence because you were afraid, you're going to feel like a jackass.
Right.
You're going to sit there, because I there was days I would sit there and think like, man, what did I do? why did I do this? Why did I react like this? Like, it's not that serious.
Fuck, dude. Hey, well, thanks for coming on the show, bro. The banger of an interview. Is there any last words you want to say to the crowd, dude? The floor is yours.
Man, just success favors the people that are prepared mentally, physically, everything. Just keep striving, man, and don't give up. The struggle is part of your greatness, is part of your story, and like that's one thing that like you should think about. Like at the end of your life, you want to look back and be like, you know what, I used my life right.
Hell yeah, dude. And you're proof that people could change, dude, if they were ready and able to.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, thank you for coming on, dude. There
Yeah, I
you guys
appreciate it.
have it, folks. Another banger. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Love you. Keep pushing forward.